This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's the sunset safari. The clouds are on their way. The elephants have just had a drink. What else will we see on this live African safari? Good afternoon and welcome to today's Sunset Safari, or is it a band practice? Because we have got some very trumpety elephants charging in our direction. For what reason, I haven't got a clue. But it is very exciting to be with all of you today. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me is Gert, and we are sitting here in Pridelands, which is part of Tswalu Game Reserve and part of the Greater Kruger National Park. Now remember, for the first 45 minutes of every single game drive, we dedicated to all the children across the globe, so you can send your questions through to kidquestions@wildearth.tv. And the rest of you, #WildEarth, and we'll be with you a little bit later. I don't know why the elephant behind us is so upset. We'll have a quick look. The Ellies are just moving in the opposite direction, so we will try and follow them. But there is one that is, it's a young bull. Sorry, Gert, it's coming up behind you. I don't think you're going to be able to twist like that. It might be a bit difficult. I'm just watching this elephant, sorry. He's coming up behind us now, and he's very grumpy. And it wasn't us. We've been here with the breeding herd. Well, we'll carry on and follow him. What I don't want him to do is think that I'm running away from him and he starts charging me. He's a little elephant though, so I'm not too terrified. Everyone else is very relaxed. We're just going to go around the corner and then we can see the elephants nicely. But it's been a lovely, lovely day. Nice and cool, not too hot. Here we go. We can have a look at some elephants now. Just feeding in the trees. Let me shuffle around and have a look as well. So there they are. 2 elephants with their heads deep into a knobthorn tree, a small one that they're feeding on. I think we've all worked out now that elephants and giraffe don't mind eating on the prickly plants. They're quite happy to do that. And I learned today how sharp a knobthorn's thorns actually are, because myself and a bunch of students from eco training went and did some rehabilitation to some areas that we'd been doing some off-roading. It's a very angry elephant. It is now thrashing all the bushes around. Oh my goodness, what is happening? Why are you so mad? What has upset you? It's not us. I don't even know where you've come from. You came from kilometers away. Not happy. You can even see it's very sassy. It's not Saturday yet. It's not sassy Saturday elephant. Cool it. He's very grumpy. Anyways, so we did some rehabilitation. We were brush packing some areas, and we typically use trees with thorns and spines on them, and there was a few knob thorns that the elephants had pushed over. So we thought we would just recycle that wood, and we chopped it up and then we laid it out onto the sort of areas that we impacted to fix it again. So that's one of the things we have to do, which was a lot of fun. I think the students learned a lot, and how we need to be very careful about our off-roading and not do too much of it.
I also have some elephants. Mine is not sassy, I'm afraid. I have a much older bull here. I think he could quite possibly be a gentleman because he's old and he's acting like a true gentleman to us. We're quite close, and he's been very, very sweet. My name is Lauren. I do have BK on camera, and we actually have two bulls, one here and one over there. They're definitely boys, there's no mistake in that, and sometimes boys live a nomadic life. When they're completely on their own, they're kicked out of the herd, and they just travel the lands alone until they meet a lady. But sometimes they don't want to be alone, and they actually enjoy other older bulls' companies. And what I mean by older is that they're experienced. They're not as aggressive, they're not as boisterous, they're a little bit calmer, and that's why... I see you, boy. My elephant is sassy. I got that a little bit wrong. I do have a sassy elephant. That was just a head shake, nothing to worry about. That's just him letting me know that he's there. But he doesn't have to, because I can see that he's there, because he's very big. But that's not too aggressive, don't worry. You've really got to spend time reading an elephant's body language. When they're really, really, really not happy with you, they will tell you. That was just my gentleman being, a boy. He's huge. He's actually got a massive tick on his ear. And quite a lot of people ask me, do elephants get ticks? Because their skin is so thick. It's about 4 centimeters thick. But yes, on the thinnest parts of their body, which is the genital area and the ears, they do get ticks. Now I'm wondering, BK, if we can just go a little bit ahead and see if we can get a better view. But we're going to go wide, so we're not going to disturb them, and maybe we can show you this tick. So we're going to go round, don't worry. Mrs. Vale, you are asking, how many elephants do we normally see in the area? Okay, this might be the best view we get. And there's a tick, BK. Do you see it? I think it's a tick. Let's just take a look, and I'm going to answer your question, Mrs. Vale. It keeps on moving. I think it's a... Yes, it is. Look at that. A big fat juice, Mrs. Vale. We get lots of elephants, but elephants are not territorial. They move great distances. And although the entire Sabi Sands, the area we're in right now, is fenced, each game reserve is not. So we are currently in Juma Game Reserve, but the elephants can walk great distances. They're not limited to one area. They're not territorial. They don't have any territorial sort of behaviours or markings, not like leopards and lions. So they move. And of course, gentlemen like these boys will seek females. They'll eat, they'll seek water, and of course they will look for ladies that are in estrus. It's very, very important for them, especially when they're in must. When they're in must, their behaviour changes a little bit, and, well, they seek the ladies. So it really depends. Sometimes during summer, BK and I were actually working together then, there was elephants everywhere. It almost felt like there was too many elephants. It felt like the carrying capacity for the ecosystem was exceeded. Because of course they are destructive, not intentionally, but they come and go. So sometimes we see lots of elephants in large herds, and sometimes we don't. But they're not territorial. Herds are led by the matriarch. She will lead the herds of females and young males from safety to safety, from food source to food source, from water point to water point. But the bulls, they have to find their own way. Young bulls can be very, very naughty. Look at the starling here, BK. The starling is after something, I think. Yes, the starlings are gorgeous birds. Following the elephant, hoping for some food, I think. it's the Birchos, Starling. Okay, we're going to head west today, see what else we can find, and let these gentlemen be.
Hello everybody and welcome to Ambion Phinda Private Game Reserve. My name is Jared and we've got Marcel behind the camera this afternoon, and we've come into the far southwest of the reserve where we have the rolling hills, where quite a few people have commented that it looks a little bit like Kenya and the Masai Mara, and I can completely see how it could. And we have our own little migration here, so they obviously have a massive migration that moves between Kenya and Tanzania. But for Phinda Private Game Reserve, 30 to 40 zebra is a bit of a migration for us. Earlier, when we were sitting with this herd, there was about 50 of them around us, and one or two of the groups has moved off now. And although this is quite a large group of zebra, I do suspect it's maybe 2 or 3 groups together. Maybe one harem with a male, potentially another harem with a male, and maybe even a bachelor herd. And the reason why this herd has come together is that there's some water not too far to our right, maybe only about 200-300 meters away, and you can see there's some very good grazing in this area. And just behind the zebra we have a female giraffe. It's not very common to see female giraffe by themselves, so I do wonder if this female doesn't have a baby nearby. Often you'll find that the females will leave their youngsters in the long grass, head off to the water, and then make their way back, and then maybe she's just started browsing on the way back to where her foal is. We did see a tiny foal in this area a couple of days ago, so maybe this is the mother to that. Ishwa, who is 6 years old, that is quite a difficult question, because I guess it depends where you are in South Africa. Most certainly in Kruger National Park and Phinda National Park, Phinda Private Game Reserve, the animal that we've got the most abundant of is impala. And pretty much you will never go a game drive without seeing an impala. There is a single impala somewhere in the middle of this herd. I did see him here earlier, and the reason why he's by himself and not in the large groups that we generally see with impala is it is the rutting season, and during the rutting season the males do become a little bit more territorial, and they'll often have tiny little patches. But at least between here and the Greater Kruger National Park, I would say probably the most common animal is an impala. And there he is just to the left. So you see just to the left of the zebra, you can see his long horns through the long grass, and you can just see his head. There's about a fully grown male impala, and he's basically just hanging around here hoping for a group of females to walk past so he can try and spend some time with them. And I also do see some monkeys. Myself, if you look over to my right, just over my head, you'll see on a fallen over tree, there's quite a lot of different species. I saw some warthogs in the grass as well. There's a group of monkeys. 1, 2, 3, 4, a couple of babies as well. How cute. Busy relaxing with the great view that I have, but in the shade. So very, very clever. Now I don't see any tiny babies, so if we saw a baby that's younger than 4 months old, you would expect them to be still quite dark, almost black in color, and have quite a pinkish face. And then at around 4 months old, they do start to get the coloring of the adults. And you will see they're busy grooming each other. Something that I used to love doing with my mom when I was a child, sitting on her lap and then going to play with my hair. They're not quite playing with each other's hair like what we do with our parents. What they're busy looking for now is ticks. And you might actually see, while they're busy feeding, if they find a tick or a flea or any other little parasite like that, they will feed on it. Now monkeys are what we call omnivores, so they'll eat anything and everything that they can get their little hands on. Fruit, seeds, grass, leaves. They'll even eat meat, insects. If there's a dead animal and there's no large predators around, you might see them picking at the meat of that animal. All right, so one of the reasons why I came to where we are now is, as you can see, it's nice and open. And so we're going to do some more scanning. The idea is that we're going to be heading further south from where we are now into those large open areas over there. And that's where the last place that I managed to find, or we managed to see, one of the prides of lions. So we're going to head that way and see if we can find them.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to And Beyond Ngala with me, Rowan, and Odie behind the camera. We've decided to take a very chilled approach to this afternoon. We start off by just taking a relaxing bumble along, well, first we check the southern side of the Timbavati riverbed. There's a road there called Nyala Loop. And then we thought we were going to come to the riverbed itself to come check. Eric and Nikki had tracks of a leap, the Tswalu leap. Sorry, that's the collective noun for leopard. So a bunch of leopards, the Tswalu leap, around this area, which is why we decided to rather start off here, just check the rocks here. Maybe they're sunning themselves, maybe they'd be lying down on the shade on the banks. But for now, nothing fresh. So now we're going to go back to the northern side, check here, and then later on, go to where the lions are. Hopefully they're still in the same area, and exactly where we left them this morning. They could have moved, but we'll let it cool down a little bit before we also head down into south for the lions. So it should be quite fun. But for now, just looking for any sign of the Tswalu leap. We had some tracks of the male on the southern side. Nikki and Eric had tracks of the female on the northern side. So we thought, let's check the middle. Maybe they met up, but so far nothing. Lots and lots of elephant tracks in the river. Woo! Alice has asked, how many animals do we usually see on safari? How many can we expect? So Alice, the nice thing is, you are looking at And Beyond Ngala, And Beyond Pinda, Tswalu Kalahari, Pridelands, and Djuma. So all in all, 5 different reserves, all showcasing different animals. So it's hard to give you a straight number, saying expect 10 today and 12 tomorrow morning, but quite an assortment. I mean, I think you just left Jared, who showed you 6 different animals in one frame, apparently, according to Emma. And then, before that, elephants on Pridelands. So, yeah, I don't know, I wouldn't put an expectation on numbers, but you could see quite a few. I mean, if we had to go count every single impala that we might see, we could definitely get to over 200. Good question, Alice. Saying there's a lot of elephant tracks in the river, and this is quite normal for this time of year, because basically, oh, what's that? Leopard or Odie or hyena? Goes hyena that just crossed the river. Let me go slightly forward. I'm so tuned in to seeing a leopard, and of course it's not a leopard, it's a hyena.
Good afternoon and welcome to this part of the Sunset Safari, where we are hoping to find some leopards this afternoon as well. My name is James Henry. David is on camera, and I hope that you like my very fine socks. They have got elephants on them. I think they are very fine indeed. Now, we came down this way this morning, following Tundi the leopardess, and now there's a very angry set of francolins up ahead. Let's just quickly drive there. We heard one set of angry francolins there, and maybe Tundi's in here. Tundi is a leopardess that we see very often. We're hoping to see her baby sometime soon as well. But he's on a reserve next door. So there are birds shouting in here because something has threatened them. Something's given them a big fright. Could it be Tundi the leopard? Might be a bird of prey. Might be a snake. Oh. It might be something that we just won't see. The birds have calmed down already. It's never really a good sign. In fact, I can't even see them. They were shouting around here somewhere. And many of you are now commenting on my beautiful bush attire. Thank you. Yes, there are no rules for how you should look in the bush, as long as you don't try and be too bright and gaudy. There's no need for you to wear a khaki safari suit. As long as you don't wear bright, luminous, reflective clothing, like you might when you're running in the traffic, you should be okay. Right, we're going to go back onto the road and then we'll head back down to where we had the original noises of the birds alarming. Like I say, this is where she was last seen sometime this morning. Dylan, how do leopards grow so fast? I'm not sure that I know how to answer that question. You're not wrong. They do grow fast. They grow fast like a puppy does. Oh, how do they go so fast? Oh, well, they just run. They're very fast. They can run at about, well, over a short distance, probably almost 80 kilometers an hour. So that's pretty quick. But you know, also, it sometimes seems as if something's going fast, but it's just moving consistently, and that's what Tundi was doing. A little scrub hare went under there. Is it still there, David? No. Is it gone? Let's keep going. So Tundi didn't move fast this morning. She moved very slowly, but she moved consistently. There it is. Not the leopard. The scrub hare. No, we're still here. We've still got this beautiful scrub hare. And it thinks we can't see it, you see. And that's why it is frozen stiff. Not moving at all. Hoping to remain invisible. Beautifully camouflaged. And normally a nocturnal animal. But we flushed it out of its form. And that's why it came out onto the road. A form is what a scrub hare lives in. And it's just a little sort of bed of grass, basically, under a bush. Yes, Olivia, and a leopard has what we call a Catholic diet. Now, this does not mean that the leopard goes to Mass every Sunday. This means that the leopard has a very wide range of foods that it likes to eat. So they'll eat anything from termites up to small wildebeest and everything in between. Fish, birds, scrub hares, well, anything made of meat. And they also eat other predators quite a lot. They eat jackals, certainly in the Kalahari. I'm sure Dylan will tell you about this a little bit later, but the leopards there will happily eat jackals, and they eat lots of different kinds of predators.
So James was just talking about how leopards will eat just about anything, and what we're busy looking at now is something that a leopard does occasionally eat. Now, when you're looking at that very long, cylindrical shaped body, the first thing that would probably come to your mind is that is one big snake. It is a reptile, but it's not a snake. That is a water monitor, everyone, which is a very large lizard. And that part that you can see, which looks like the body of the snake, oh, it's busy moving, is the tail of that water monitor. And you'll see that it isn't quite cylindrical, it is actually very flat. And that water monitor will use that tail to swim. Now, very typical, the water monitor's walked off while we're busy filming. So I'm just going to ask Marcel to shine on me. And while that water monitor's busy sitting up on the top there, there's two things he really has to worry about. We're just talking about leopards, hunting them. Typically, a leopard wouldn't hunt one up on the rock. A big male like that could actually defend himself against a leopard. I have seen it before. They take that tail and they whip it from side to side, slapping the leopard in the face. But this bird over here, known as a martial eagle, which is a very, very large eagle with big tannins, about the size of my hands, he will fly, or she will fly up and swoop down and catch these monitor lizards that are busy basking on the rocks. The reason why that lizard is right on the top of that rock is because it's a reptile. It cannot produce its own body heat. And so it is on that rock to get the heat from the rock as well as the heat from the sun. Now I'm just going to go a little bit back. I think we only need to go about 10 meters or so, and we should hopefully be able to see it again. And if not, we will carry on. So just bear with me, because when we arrived, we could get a little bit of a view from here. But like I said, if it's not there, we're just going to carry on. And it is not there. Unfortunately, let me have a closer look. No, so he's moved off to the other side. And so I think what might have happened is that that water monitor, who is busy heating up on the rock, has got too hot. And so now he's moved into the shade. But luckily we don't have to go too far, as we've got some vervet monkeys again up ahead over here. Looks like we've got 3 of them, a mother or 2 females, one of them being a mother and then her little baby next to her. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to sit here. I want to see what these monkeys are going to do, but I don't want to stay here for too long. I want to keep heading south towards the area where I'm hoping to find the pride of lions that is in this area.
Welcome back to another amazing afternoon out on Tswalu Kalahari Reserve. Old birthday boy Jandre on camera there, although he's trying to really avoid it like the plague. But he claims he's 18, but I think he's lying. And my name's Dylan, and it's just, as always, such a pleasure having you with us. We're taking a really nice, slow drive through this section this afternoon. I'm going to I want to look for some nice interactions between aardvark and birds. We've seen some really, really good aardvark over the past couple of weeks. But I want to, if we can, focus a little bit on this aardvark bird interaction and the different species that are following after them. Because that's always really fun to see. And there's really, really good reasons why they do that. It's a chance we're taking. These areas that you can see framed up in front of us over here. Oh wow, look at that bird, John. Can you get that? Look at that bird. I don't want to go too close, it flies off. There he's going. There we go. On that. That is a swallow-tailed beater. Look at that. Look at those colors. That is emerald. Eh? Absolutely stunning. So this is one of only 2 bee eaters that we've recorded on Tswalu. This one actually is a resident, so he's here year-round. The other one, I wonder if any of you have even actually seen it back home. It's called a European bee-eater or Eurasian bee-eater, and they migrate all the way down. Yeah, they're normally arriving in about October, mid-October, and then they're leaving again, I think, in about end of Feb, March, middle of March, that's when they start leaving from here. And just why I'm saying, I wonder if any of you have ever seen them. And I don't mean here, like, I've always like had this in the back of my mind. If you see a migrant bird here, like, what other people have actually been seeing those birds in the areas that they come from? And if you think there's a tiny little songbird, it's like that. And it flies right across from Europe, all the way down across Africa. And it's the same birds that return to the same area year on year on year. And that is pretty remarkable stuff. And if you think of the gauntlet that they got to run to get down here, I mean, and there's obviously the challenges of, not to put a damper on it up, but environmental degradation on a lot of these places en route. So they got a lot to compete with. But we can chat about migrant birds as well, especially when we start going into summer and we're getting them coming back. That'll be quite interesting because there's some interesting differences between your larger birds like your storks that fly over, your white storks, a lot of your raptors that migrate compared to these smaller songbirds, obviously in terms of altitudes, but also in terms of the routes that they take to get to and back from Africa. But so these big open grasslands, before that bird distracted me there, which is not too difficult. These are the kind of areas we're going to be just going slowly, very slowly through this afternoon, and hopefully we'll get something. But what scenery? Look at that. Beautiful. Let's just keep moving on along here.
We have found a herd of impalas, and this herd of impalas is very confiding, very happy to be close to us, which is highly unusual actually. Normally they move away from here quite quickly, or move away from us quite quickly. But these guys seem to be very happy around us, and I wonder if that doesn't have something to do with the fact that there's a male who's been herding them around. Or maybe they saw a predator a little bit earlier and they're sticking together for safety. But this is really quite unusual. They have a perpetual look of surprise on their faces, I always find. It's not helped by the fact that when they move, they normally move with a very jerky, speedy kind of a gait. Now they're starting to run. Seth, I think you'll probably find that an impala can run at around about 70 kilometers an hour, so just slower than a leopard at full tilt, but they'll maintain that speed for some time. There's a herd of elephants up ahead. I'm just going to drive a bit closer. You may have heard David going, "Ooh." He was very excited when he saw the elephants. Two big grey shapes, two big grey shapes, one smallish grey shape, and possibly some other largish grey shapes here. Yes, 4 at least. Very exciting. Ooh, hello. Rex, we've just bumped into a herd of elephants just south of the pump house on Weaver's Nest. That's just me talking on the game drive, everybody. Yeah, copy. We drove that area today, just found the herd. This one here, David. It's quite close to us. A big cow. And just for those of you who don't know, we're not alone on the reserve, and so there is a radio that allows us to communicate with the other game drives. So sometimes you'll hear us saying things that don't make any sense, and that's why. Now, I've noticed a few elephants without tusks in this area of late, and I'm pretty sure it's the same herd that's got at least 2 cows in it that don't have any tusks. And that's just genetic. It's not like she's lost them, she just never had any. It's a bit like being born without 2 front teeth. Matt from Orlando in Florida wondering what an elephant uses its tusks for. Maybe this elephant here will show us. They use their tusks, Matt, for digging, for defending themselves sometimes, for scraping the bark off trees, for playing, that sort of thing. But an elephant without tusks survives just as well as an elephant with tusks. So it doesn't really affect them. The big bulls use them for display as well. That's not a particularly impressive set of tusks that she's got, so I'm not sure how effective they'd be for display, but I don't think the cows use them for display. They're much more like tools. I'm gonna wait here and see what she does. She's got quite squaff tusks. She didn't have a good orthodontist when she was a youngster. I also think she's pregnant. If you look at her, she's got a very fat belly. Oh, I think that baby's kicking inside her. It is definitely kicking inside her. Just going to keep nice and quiet now. Did you see that, Dave?
No, I didn't.
She's also here to just investigate what we want and make sure we aren't a threat. Yeah, many of you saw the movement in the stomach there. Here's a fun little one coming towards us. Hi. Holly, wild elephants are friendly enough if they don't feel threatened. If they feel afraid, then they can be very unfriendly to the point of being murderous. But most of the time, if you leave them alone, they leave you alone. But also, you know, like some people are friendly and some people are not friendly. Some elephants are friendly and some elephants are not friendly. Some elephants like people, some elephants dislike people. And often that's born of fear. You know, elephants that tend to be a little bit unfriendly are afraid. Showing us her bottom. Let me just shift slightly forward. There's another one on the right-hand side here. Probably give us a slightly better view. Now, also, what I have come to term the butt shot. So let's just listen to them feed quietly for a while. And well, you can tell she's pregnant from the swelling she has, not that one, but the one we saw earlier. From the swelling she has kind of just above the bush line there, where that bush is, you'd see a swelling on the elephant. And I can't tell how long she's been pregnant. I suspect that if the baby's moving around as much as that one was, chances are she's, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months from giving birth. It might be even closer than that, but I don't know. A wildlife vet might be able to tell you, but I think it'd probably be very difficult. It's a hornbill calling in the background. Now, this one in front of us is feeling around on an extremely thorny bush called a black monkey thorn. But doesn't affect her thick skin at all. That was nice. Wait, hang on, here comes another little one. Also has no tusks. Now, whether he or she will develop them is, I'm not sure, but also definitely didn't have tusks. Now, one more look behind us as they head off into this pretty thick bush.
So these gemspak are just on that dune crest in the distance over there. But what's really interesting for me about this is that one thing to bear in mind in that any ecosystem, doesn't matter whether it's a desert or a semi-arid savanna like we are, or a forest or a river system, marine, freshwater, whatever it is, that ecosystem is not utilized evenly throughout by the same species. Now that might sound dead obvious, but it has huge repercussions for the system. And if you look at areas, that Yellowstone National Park, or Yellowstone, and the introduction of the wolves and the degradation of the environment of the drainage lines prior to the introduction of the wolves, and that how that was that what they call a trophic cascade. Okay, we're just going to move over to a brilliant sighting somewhere else. We'll be right back.
This is so special, everyone. Have a look at this. We've got a female black rhino on the right and a calf on the left. Now, we are tucked quite low down with some bushes around us. I don't think she can see us, but you see how she's got her head up in the air? the wind is blowing from me to her. And that's why her head's up. She can smell us. She can probably hear me now. You can see her ears facing in our direction. And she's trying to see exactly what we are. This is so incredible to be able to find a female rhino with a calf. Oh, there they go. Then they run off. Oh, it's a pity that they're nervous about us. I think because the calf ran is why she ran. There we go, busy running off. I'm sure they're going to stop and turn and look again. They generally don't just keep running. See the mom leading the way and her calf behind her. Very typical way of running. If they do come across anything dangerous up ahead, she will be able to defend her calf. Come on, girl, turn around. I feel a little bit bad that they've run from us. But you must understand that that calf hasn't seen too many vehicles. We've had a lockdown for about 3-4 months now. That calf looked like around a year old. So this is also an area where not a lot of vehicles come to. So these rhinos here aren't too used to people. And I think because they could smell us and hear us, but not see us, made them extra nervous. If she could see us, I think she would have been far more relaxed. Shame, there they go. And running off. Black rhino, mother and calf. That is incredible. What an awesome find. And so the reason why we actually came here is just over this ridge, maybe 300 meters up here, we saw a group of 5 rhinos together. And so we were coming around to see those 5 rhinos, and it is just by complete fluke we managed to find this female black rhino and her calf. So I think I want to head that way and see if we can find that crash of rhinos. I don't think they were too far away from the road. Oh, what a find. And so you can see that this area that we're in, oh, there we go. What's that on the left? Is it another black rhino or is it the white rhino we saw from a distance? Let's have a look. So its head down, busy feeding. Can you see very flat back? So that is a white rhino. How incredible is that? Within the same view of where we were sitting, we had black and white rhino. And so from a distance I could count 5. At the moment I can only count 2. Maybe the others are busy lying down. Or maybe this is even a different group of white rhinos. Oh, spectacular. So head's busy down, busy feeding at the moment. I can see that there's one behind her. Oh, it's another baby. Oh my. White rhino with the calf, black rhino with the calf. This calf looks much younger than the black rhino calf. So I estimated that black rhino calf to probably be around a year old. This white rhino calf, that's tough to tell because the grass is so long, but maybe only a couple of months. So I don't think that these are the 5 that we saw. I think they're a little bit further up ahead, which means in this area where we're parking right now, 9 different rhino, 2 different species. Well, Fred, of course, rhinos are dangerous. I suppose any animal is dangerous. Even an impala is dangerous if it attacks you with its horns. But black rhinos are known to be more dangerous than white rhinos. But you can see for most parts when they feel maybe a little bit edgy or threatened that they run away. But you most certainly don't want to encounter a rhino on foot where you surprise them and you're very close, because then they probably will defend themselves by attacking. But for most parts they will just run away. So I think we've lost her. Marcel says you can still see the baby. Alright, so while we finish this awesome sighting with the kiddies, how fantastic to end the 45 minutes with the kids with some black and white rhino. We're going to start opening up the floor to everybody now to be able to ask questions. So do please flood in your questions and comments about the black or white rhino. So I'm going to move again, and I think why is because just up ahead is a crest. So if we can get higher, we're going to be able to look down and get a better view of these 2, and maybe we can see where the other 5 are. And so the reason why we've got two different species of rhino in this area, you'll notice that although there's quite a lot of grass, there's lots of trees and shrubs throughout here. So the black rhinos are here to feed on these trees. A lot of these trees are thorny trees which black rhinos love to eat. The white rhinos will come to eat on the grass in this area. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drive a little bit up ahead and see if we can get a better view.
Black rhino, what a pleasure, what a pleasure. Here we have got more of the elephant herd. We were trying to leave them, but there were just so many of them. And this one, unfortunately, mangled a tree just behind her and has now come out onto these clearings and is eating bits of sort of herb. It looks like the purple panweed that she's going for. I'm not sure that's what it is, but it's an aromatic herb that she's eating. And you can see she's very specifically selecting that particular plant. I said yesterday while we were watching the bull elephant that normally, in fact almost exclusively, if you have an interaction with an elephant, in other words, if an elephant comes up close to the vehicle and comes to investigate you, it's almost always a bull. And I'm looking for, I suppose, evidence that that isn't necessarily true. Now let's see what this cow does. Because she's about the same age as a bull would be if he was going to come and kind of have a little interaction with you. I think she's already pregnant or has at least had a baby. And she's showing almost no interest in us whatsoever. Although in some parts of its skin is about 2 inches. If it, in the really kind of thick calloused parts. Otherwise about 1 inch. So 2.45 centimeters odd. Here she comes. See how close she gets. She's really enjoying these herbs. Relieving herself at the same time. The gentle plopping sound of her dung hitting the ground. It's actually a really important sound, that, if you're in the bush, because if you're walking and you hear that sound, or if you're tracking elephants, the first thing you'll hear is that doof, doof of their dung hitting the ground. Now, I don't know how many of you are interested in food, or I don't know, the newfangled foods and things. But the other day, I got married not too long ago, and when the menu arrived for our wedding, it told us that there were microgreens on offer. Now, I know what on earth a microgreen was. Well, I think we've just found out. Emma has just pointed out, she's directing the show today, she said, well, this elephant is eating microgreens, small green plants, I guess. She's a very gastronomic elephant, clearly. Just quite interested to see how close she'll come. She's watching us, for sure. And listening to my voice. Heads up, you see the head's lifted there slightly. I really don't know how to quantify that answer, but there's no question that a pregnant elephant will need more nutrition than a non-pregnant one, and the more pregnant she is, the more nutrition she'll need. So I'm sure that a pregnant elephant must eat more than a non-pregnant elephant, but I couldn't tell you how much. She's talking to the one behind her now. Both of them have lifted their heads and turned towards each other. This is quite cool. The other one's now coming out onto the field of microgreens. Gosh, she looks like she's had a much harder life than this one. Ears are torn, cartilage is broken. And she's, I would say, definitely pregnant as well. She's got that big, fat swelling. Let's not call her fat. She might be insulted and come running towards us, stick her tusks in the car. Very sophisticated palates this herd has. They're all coming out to eat a few microgreens. Now she's coming. She's closed the distance to about 2.5 meters. Yeah, Michelle, they are making the grass look delicious, but if you watch carefully, they're not eating the grass. She's eating the little herbs in between all the grass. The kind of herbs that grow in areas that have been disturbed or mowed, or in this case mowed, because it's a fire break. So it's a pioneer species. Totally ignoring us. Some of them are almost too small for her to pick up. Now the whole herd is out eating the microgreens.
Right. Hello, everybody. So earlier you may have heard me talking about brush packing, and you're probably wondering what on earth was I talking about. So I thought I'd just actually show you what we started doing today. This is not complete. So as you can see, I'm dragging a rather large tree, which I shall throw very dramatically over there. Now, the reason why we have to brush pack an area like this is that it is what we call a sodic site. So you can kind of see in between the patches of grass how bare this area is, and it goes down into from the seep line into a sort of drainage line, which is not great. So we would call this a sodic site, all the way here through the little riverbed and up on the other side. So what a sodic site is, it's basically an area that has had a lot of its minerals leached, and normally that's through erosion of some sort. I think there's been a lot of wind and water erosion that has caused sort of now gully erosion forming here. So what you can't see is that there are lots and lots and lots of gullies just down below us. Now, this just happens over time. There's very little that we can do about it, but what we can do a lot about it now, but it's going to take a lot of time. So you can see how I've taken all of these branches, and I was telling you how a lot of them have got thorns on. So we've got some monkey thorn here, we've got knob thorns, we've got sickle bush that we've sort of laid out into this area. And I know it looks like a bit of a big mess, but it's actually going to be very important for when the rain arrives. So once we get some nice rain and it falls down on this ground, you'll see there's quite a bit of orn grass here. There's a lot of tassel 3 orn grass growing. Looks like there's some turpentine grass and a couple other things, and these are all pioneer species of grasses. And once a small amount of rain, just a few mils, falls to the ground, these grasses would start to sprout again. But the animals might at some point come and graze in these areas. So to give the soil a chance to stabilize, because now it's lacking nutrients minerals like nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium, all those very important things for development in animals that they obtain from the plants, it will give the grass a time and a chance to actually grow without animals coming to harass them. If I try and walk through this, it's a nightmare. I'm going to get stuck on all the thorns, and this is exactly what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be a deterrent for impala or zebra or wildebeest or even elephants coming to feed through this area. And yes, so it's prickly, and also they don't really want to stick their heads in it in case they get hooked by something. So we'll try and actually brush pack as much as we can all the way down, and then in between where the gullies have started to form, we've also started packing rocks just to prevent further erosion. So we'll pack the rocks nice and tightly, but it is a really big project. We're obviously just repairing some sections where we did do a very small amount of off-roading in. Most of our off-roading is actually in a riverbed, which is perfect. You rake that and it's all good. But this whole section has formed over years and years, and it stretches all the way down to the west. If we want to fix it, we're actually going to have to do some management, and that's what happens on these game reserves. We learn a lot about conservation management. So that was just one of the things that we were doing with the students today. Oh no. Mick, I'm sorry, I'm going to just come around because I'm going to come back to the vehicle now. Yes, the Mick, the organic matter, reuse and recycle. So like I said, we didn't chop down any trees. You can see here the elephants have pushed down what was once a corkwood. This would also be a good one because it has got some spines, but it's not as prickly. So what we might even do tomorrow in between game drives is just come and hack off some of these branches and then just take them and then lay them out. I mean, obviously you want to use bigger pieces and then sort of fill them with the thorny bits, but we'll do it all the way down. And we'll constantly keep repairing these areas as we go, because this was once farmland. Well, they tried to make it farmland and it didn't quite work. So we will repair all the mistakes that the humans have made in the past.
So there's been quite a lot of drama unfolding here. Now the rhino that you can see on the right is a male, and he's been trying to mate with the female on the left, or at least that's what I think he's trying to do, and she's not having any of it. Now just behind her is the calf. Probably can't see it at the moment, but the calf should stick out shortly. And maybe about 2 minutes ago they were busy boxing, and they were head to head making quite a lot of noise. And this will go on and on and on for a couple of days. Often the males will try and court the females. It's even been recorded for a couple of weeks that he'll stick close to her and try to come close, and every time he gets too close she chases him away. I think she's lying in this close now because she walked past him. It's not that he approached her. So you can see her calf is on her far side. Judging by the size of that calf, it's probably around 2 years old. So it is about the time that she would go back into estrus again. So it is very possible at some point in the next couple of days, or maybe even today, that that male will mate with the female. So these are the 5 white rhinos I was telling you about earlier. So it's the 3 together, the one male harassing the female with a calf, and maybe 100 meters to their right is the female with the smaller calf that we managed to see earlier. Now that calf is quite small, it's just higher than the grass, but judging by the size of the calf compared to the mother, it's probably about 6 months. So Dylan, the white rhino is much bigger than the black rhino. Well, if you go weight wise, so shoulder height is actually not that much of a difference. Yes, the white rhino shoulder height is a little bit higher than the black rhino, but the white rhino is much heavier than a black rhino. A female black rhino like the one that we saw earlier was probably around 1 ton, where these females here would be probably around 1.5 tons, if not a little bit more than that. And then a big white rhino bull, big white rhino male, Dylan, will get to about 2, even recorded up to about 2.5 tons, but that's a massive rhino bull. So let's go back over to the 3 on the left. You'll see the male probably won't let the female get too far out of his sight. You'll see he's got his ears busy pointing straight towards her so he can listen to her and kind of figure out how far she is from him. And I wouldn't be surprised that if she does walk off, he's just going to follow her. And I do expect that this is what we're going to see throughout the afternoon. So I'm going to stick here for a bit, and hopefully I can see some more interaction. It was very exciting and very noisy.
It's not all about the big things. We have one of the smallest, at least in terms of carnivores. It is, of course, dwarf mongoose. Wow, did you all hear that? I think a harrier hawk was having a bit of a hard time there. Oh, nicely done, BK. I think it's harrier hawks. Oh, possibly not. I really cannot see from this angle. They're actually very, very far away. Wow, that was very loud. I wonder if it scared our mongoose away. There was some sort of mid-air chase happening there. There is a vehicle trying to get past. I'm going to see if they can squeeze past us without us moving. But if not, we may have to pull aside. So let's go back to the mongoose. And let's see if they can pop out a little bit. Wow, look at the skies. Very heavy. There we go. Little mongoose got a little bit scared by those noises, but I think they're starting to come back out again. This is a termite mound that I often see them in. I see one just up a little bit, BK. Keeps popping his head out. They reacted immediately to those aerial sounds because they're the perfect prey for birds of prey. Is that a little head there? Or am I seeing things? I am seeing things. Ah, there, I see one. We can see you. That's an amazing to watch a reaction like this. Dwarf mongoose actually have specific alarm calls to one another because they're very, very social about what the potential threat is. So if the threat's coming from the ground, let's just say snakes or other small carnivores, maybe even a leopard, then it's going to be a different alarm call, a different signal to the others in the business than if it's an aerial threat. So that they can let each other know the threat's coming from above, duck, or the threat's coming from here, hide. And this sort of collective effort improves the survival of all the individuals. There's another car. I'm just going to tell them to get past. There we go, we can see. It's like whack-a-mole. Remember that game? Penelope, yes, it's a very nice termite mound. Very old. They estimate, of course it depends on numbers and environmental conditions, but they estimate that a termite mound to reach the size of an American football takes about 7 years. So this mound will be very, very old. And there's termite mounds in South America, in the Amazon, that can actually be seen from space. That's how large they are. They're such impressive structures, termite mounds. And of course, they're perfect for mongoose. All these little holes and nooks and crannies make the perfect sort of spot, shape and size for little dwarf mongoose. And believe it or not, before I forget to tell you all, on my first drive back, I had the luckiest drive I have had to date. We had dogs, Shadulu the leopard, and we had hyena cubs, but unfortunately too many tech problems that we couldn't go live, but we actually found a slender mongoose den. So that was very exciting. So I think I am in the way of lots of vehicles here, so I'm going to pull over and head into Chitwa.
Okay, I get every single day when I go out on Tswalu, I get blown away by something. It could be something tiny, like an insect. It could be a plant, whatever. And here we come out this afternoon. We're really trying to find an aardvark just because they are the coolest animals on the planet, and I really enjoy watching them. So, coming out, we come across this herd of eland. Now, we've actually been seeing it from a distance, probably 1.5 kilometers away already. But I think because we approached so slowly, and literally we were driving 100 meters and stopping and switching off, and driving 100 meters, stopping, switching off. This is one of the most beautiful antelope, in my opinion, eland. And there are, just so you know, there are, obviously for those who question me, there are some zebra as well as wildebeest there, so I'm not getting them mixed up. But these eland are just, and to see them this relaxed, eland by nature tend to be very shy antelope. So to see a herd like this with the youngsters, that big one that's full in the middle of the front now is an adult cow. And there's a massive bull in there somewhere, which we're going to try and find. But look at those calves, look at those calves. And even compared to the size of the zebra, I don't know how well, I'm looking at the monitor as well as looking at the eland through the binoculars. But you see that beautiful two-tone color in that, like orangey russet, and then going on to the forequarters, that lovely grey colour. There's the bull on the left there, Jandre. He's moving out on the left. This is one of my most beautiful eland sightings, literally, that I've had in months and months and months. There's the big bulls. Now look at the size of that guy. So that bull there, he'll be weighing in at about anything between 700 and 800 kilograms. And that is a massive animal. And why I say is a bull, you can look at the working parts underneath, just in front of the back legs. But then also the bulk of the animal, the size, the color, that lovely gunmetal gray. And then as you see, he's facing us now. He's got that dense patch of red, deep russet, almost red hair between the horns. So those are the diagnostic features there of these bulls. But just that sheer size, and there comes a wildebeest. You'll see a wildebeest is going to come into frame. Well, it's actually just by, look at the size of that eland compared to that wildebeest. I mean, these are massive, massive, massive animals. These are, I mean, and just the setting is just, that's why I say, come out, it can take your breath away every single day if you look for it, eh? And even if it's the things that you're not actually searching for, like the last thing I had in my mind was bumping into a herd like this today. Face Cow says those elands are gorgeous, and they absolutely are. Just those calves, look at those tiny calves, eh? Oh, I don't know if you... Okay. Oh, I'm just absolutely loving this. I'm loving every single second of this. I think we're just going to spend a bit longer here. That's what we're going to do.
I can't even remember when I last saw eland. I think it was last year in the Tswalu River up in Botswana. It was beautiful to see those big herds. But we haven't got any eland. We have got a pair of black-backed jackals, although we can only see one at the moment, as the other was a little bit shy and moved away. Now, I'm almost 100% certain that this is the same pair of black-backed jackals that we saw feeding on the buffalo carcass when we were with the lions maybe almost a week ago now. Goodness, time flies. But we're only about 200 meters from where the lions had killed that big buffalo. Now they're scampering off to the other side. I think they realize that they have been spotted. And these two are notoriously shy. Unless they're feeding, then they don't seem to mind at all. They put their shyness aside. But it's nice to just catch a glimpse of them. They are, I'm trying to think I don't think we'll be able to get another view because there's just too many trees there, I'm afraid. That you can see them, they're just behind there, but we don't have another gap, even to just take a long-range view from them. Oh well, that's okay. We got a glimpse. But it's just another one of the characters that I suppose we get to see on a regular basis within this area. That was nice. Oh wait, maybe I can get a gap. Let me see. Just a tree wisteria in my way. I do not think... it's tight. I don't think it's going to be a great view, I'm afraid. One last hope. I mean, look over my shoulder. Oh, I don't know. Let's see if the magic left hand down does something. Can you see them, Gert? Forward. Like that. Okay, Gert says he spotted them. Oh, and we've got a beautiful view of the Drakensberg mountain too. But there they are. Oh, you got them. Just sat down. Very difficult to see. But look how camouflaged they are. You can just see them just behind the trees. And once they sit down like that, that sort of tawny color that they have in between the black that runs down from, I suppose, the back of their neck to the base of their tail, really blends in with the tawny grass. They almost just look like a rock. Julie, I'm glad you agree with me and you think that they are unbelievably camouflaged. And they have got beautiful patterns. I think out of the two common species of jackal that we see in this area, the black-backed jackal is by far my favorite. And for a long time while I was working in the southern section of the Sabi Sand, we didn't see them. We only saw side-striped jackals. And then until one day there was a hippo that was around that unfortunately died, and then a black-backed jackal arrived and everyone was shocked. They couldn't believe it because one hadn't been seen down at Sabi Sabi for years and years.
So this female and her calf have started to wander off away from the male with the other female and calf. I think she's just doesn't want to be harassed by him at all. And we've now managed to get our first decent view of this calf. And so it is a little bit easier to try and age the calf. You were with me a little bit earlier. I was trying to figure out how old this calf is. And you'll notice when you look at the horns of the calf, it's got its front horn. But from this distance, I can't really see its secondary horn. So I would put this calf maybe somewhere between 3 to 6 months, maybe a little bit closer to 6 months. Generally around 6 months you should start to see that secondary horn come through. So it is a very young calf, which is very exciting, and it will be eating grass at the moment, but will also be suckling. And it is very easy for a calf of this age to be able to suckle, but as it gets older, closer to a year, that big female is going to have to roll over to her side to allow this calf to suckle. But I'm keeping a close eye out while we're busy looking at this female and the calf at the other three, because every now and then there's a little bit of interaction and then they have a break. But we haven't seen anything as fearsome as what we saw about half an hour ago. But they do make strange sounds when they fight. It's like that's a fairly inaccurate sound, but you'll get the gist of the sound that they make. And we also heard maybe about 5 minutes ago the little calf to the right communicating with mom, which is a sound you've probably heard me make quite a few times, which I say sounds a little bit like a cat mixed with a whale. And they often make that sound when they want to suckle, but the mother wasn't interested at all and she walked off, and the calf kind of got the hint at that time. But where the others, looks like the male's peeling off a little bit to the right. And we've got the female. You'll see while she's walking around, because it's quite windy, she is a little bit edgy, and it isn't because of us being here. This female is very relaxed with our presence. But have a look at how tiny those eyes are. So she's got very big ears, very big nostrils, but tiny little eyes. So that tells you one thing: great hearing, great sense of smell, but poor eyesight. Now, on a windy day like it is now, I'm not sure if you can hear the wind going through the microphone, but it is reasonably windy. Their sense of smell, which will be smelling animals and us and everything around from quite a long distance away, so they can't quite judge how close something is by the smell that they're picking up. But then the wind that's blowing through those large ears of theirs, and the wind that's blowing through the grass and rustling through the trees, would make it very difficult for her to hear. So her poor eyesight obviously isn't affected by the wind, but her hearing and her smells affected by the wind. So unfortunately her three senses are not very good at the moment. So she is far more edgy than what you would normally see her. Now, also something I've noticed is that the wind has changed direction a little bit, and I think maybe she's also just recently picked up on our scent as well. So when she was further down to my left, so behind them, she wouldn't have been able to smell us. The wind's swirling, which is quite typical from this time of the afternoon. Maybe she's picked up on the scent, because I've been talking the whole time. It hasn't bothered her at all. She hasn't looked at us once, but now she's looking in our direction, so I think she can smell us. The sun is directly behind us, so she definitely can't see us. Zandre, a white rhino will not mate with a black rhino. They're actually not the same species, and so they can't interbreed. And because of that, you will actually pretty much never see them fighting either. So they won't mate with each other, they won't fight with each other. And the reason why males won't fight with each other is because they're simply not in competition to mate. And white rhinos, like the ones we're busy watching at the moment, they eat grass. The black rhino, like the two we saw earlier, eat leaves. So they're not competing for food, and therefore they are in no competition at all. So for most parts, they just leave each other alone. I would imagine if the two rhinos that we saw earlier, the black rhinos, did come past these white rhinos, they might come and investigate, have a little bit of a look. I have seen them smell each other before, and then just continue on. It would have been very interesting to have seen if these rhinos had interacted with each other earlier, because they are in a very similar position. It's interesting that you see the calf keeps looking down to the left. Now, that calf can probably hear those other 3 rhinos that we saw earlier, and it would be far more concerned with the strange sounds that male and female are busy making when they interact with each other. Where she knows that sound is quite far away, so she's not too fussed at all. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what's bothered her. I think it might be that she can smell us but not see us because the sun's behind us. And with white rhinos, you always know that if their head's up, they're aware that there's something around. Generally, you'll always see a white rhino with its head down. When they walk, their head's down. They've got that long neck and long face for a very good reason. Because they're grazers, they can't really bend down like most of the impalas would be able to. And they don't get on their knees or ankles like a warthog does. And so they've got that long neck to be able to feed on grass. And so their head is generally down. So if you ever do see a white rhino with its head up like this female we can see now, she is very alert. She knows there's something in the area, something's bothering her, and she's trying to figure out exactly what it is. The fact that she's not running away from us tells us she's not too afraid. She's just trying to figure out what it is. Jordan, Jack, rhinos and elephants do occasionally interact. Unfortunately, not in the favor of the rhinos. So an elephant bull that goes into must, his testosterone level starts to rise, and there has been records of elephant bulls killing rhino. In fact, in last year, 2019, we had one of these elephant bulls on Pinder who was in must, who was aggressive, agitated. Obviously, what might have happened is that the rhino didn't get out of his way, so he took his frustration out on the rhino, and unfortunately he tusked her, put his tusk right through her, and she died. It's not uncommon, but it's not something that you see every single day. For most parts, particularly when an elephant is around, everything moves out the way of an elephant just because they're so much bigger. A adult elephant bull is about 3 times heavier than that of a adult rhino bull. And so the rhinos do know who's in charge, but maybe in those cases the rhinos didn't move out the way quick enough for the liking of the elephants. But as far as interaction goes, that's all they will do. Just like I mentioned earlier, obviously elephants won't interbreed with rhinos. They're also a completely different species, and nothing would happen. Although I think it would be quite classic to see a rhino walking around with a long trunk. See, that calf is still looking down towards the other 3. Ooh, very exciting. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to leave this this group of rhinos and leave this cute little cub, and we're going to head over to Ngala. I believe Roan has a lion cub.
So we've caught up with the Birmingham Pride. Like we predicted, they haven't moved at all. So they are more bunched up together than they were this morning, but still in exactly the same spot. So what we did, we had an incredibly relaxing afternoon. Just enjoying the light. We checked the watering hole, and now came to the Pride. And as we got here, this little white lioness, she was up, and one of the newest cubs. So there is already a bit of activity, which is quite nice. I mean, during winter time, it's not really too hot today. I'm already wearing a fleece, so I'm pretty sure they'll start grooming each other soon. The youngsters, the cubs are already up and active and biting some of the other youngsters, so I don't think it'll be too long, and then this Pride might go for a move. Although if you look at some of the females to our right, you'd never guess that. I mean, sorry, I need to shift the focus, but this female, you can just see both legs up in the air. She's out of it. I think maybe a little bit close to us. So one of the youngsters head up. I think he might be listening, or she might be listening to where the cubs are. Of course, with the cubs moving around like that so much, the youngsters might approach them to play. Yes, they disappear so quickly in the grass. And what we did first was we went to a watering hole not too far from here, just to see, see one of the lionesses actually coming back. And probably just to come lie down close to the rest. See, she's the one with the black dot below her right eye. So she's the mother of the big white male lion and his brother. She looks a bit skinny. But like we said, beautiful light on them now, especially, and she didn't even go for the shade. She went straight into the sun. So really not too hot at all. Actually a very comfortable temperature. Absolutely beautiful. It's nice. So we don't know. I don't think the Birmingham young male has joined up with the pride yet. For now, as we sit here, I can't see him at all. But to be honest, I mean, it's very likely. I can't see majority of the pride. I can probably count 11 lions. And this morning there was 17. So they do blend in with the grass. We were talking about it a little bit earlier that, this morning when we were sitting with them, a lot of them would prop their head up and then listen to something in the distance to the left that we couldn't hear. And it might have been the young male, contact calling, looking for the pride. But so far we couldn't hear it, so it must have been quite far off. There's a bit of grooming going on. You can see the little white lioness starting to clean her paw. The Ross male behind her completely out. He didn't even raise his head when we came here. As I see the white male, he's got his head up and he's listening in the opposite direction. There was a herd of impala not too far from here. I think we saw them this morning, and I remember the impalas actually alarm calling at the lions. But I think for now the impalas probably forgot that the lions were here. Imagine dealing with that stress all day long, thinking there's a pride of lions not too far from you. You're on the prey list. I don't think any of us would like to be an impala. I don't think our hearts would be able to deal with it. That constant pressure, that constant stress about, am I going to survive tonight? Yeah, she's giving herself a good clean, trying to get to the elbow now. Can actually hear her licking. Yeah, so I think we might just sit here for the rest of the afternoon. Like I said, it's a very comfortable temperature. Nice and sunny, but not too hot. And we'll watch as they wake up.
All right, everyone, so we haven't moved too far at all. We literally just turned around and we drove 100 meters to the exact spot where we saw those black rhino earlier, and we found 3 more rhinos. I can't believe it. In this area we've now seen 10 rhinos, probably all about 200-300 meters from each other. And the reason why I am whispering at the moment is that the wind is blowing from them towards us. They haven't seen us yet, and I'm hoping by whispering they're not going to know that we're here, and we might have them walking right past the vehicle. Their general direction that they have been walking has been in a straight line towards us, although they've just slightly altered their path now. And the way they were walking with their head almost scraping the ground while walking earlier, I did maybe think that they'd picked up the scent of where these other rhinos had walked earlier. Now it's a little bit difficult from this distance to be able to sex these rhino, but I think, I might be wrong, but I think it's a female with two other rhinos. So I think the one on the right is the mother, and then the one on the left is her calf, and the one behind her is what we call a satellite calf. And so what a satellite calf is a calf that is being kicked out by its mother around the time that she gives birth, and it goes in search of the comfort and safety of other rhinos, and it will either look for other calves of around its age that have been kicked out and form a small group, or in the case like this, a female with about a 6-month to a year-old calf, or even a little bit older than that. But unfortunately, they've just stopped walking. They were marching quite steadily this direction, and maybe they've just found a good grazing area over there. You'll notice behind them, I can see the flicking of the tails of some zebra as well. Alright, so I'm pretty sure if we just be patient and I just stick here, we're going to get these rhinos approaching us. But we're going to quickly head over to Lauren, who has a hyena approaching her.
Rex tracks for the pride and male coming from wildebeest clearing towards the stand, but I think they might be from maybe yesterday. There's a couple of impalas and birds over the top of them.
The baby's out as well. Hello. Can you find me a leopard, please?
Sorry about that, everyone. I believe we've lost communication with Lauren. Signal is a little bit bad where she is, but I think she had a lovely hyena sighting. I just wanted to quickly show you these giraffe. We haven't moved anywhere, but how's this diversity of animals around us? So we had two black rhino where we are right now. We have 5 white rhino to my left. We have 3 giraffe that I'm busy looking at. Between those 3 giraffe, we've got 2 wildebeests. We're going to pan back right to these rhinos shortly, but we do have some zebra there as well. But I just want to have a look at that male in the back. Look how incredibly dark that male giraffe is. Much darker than the other 2 giraffe who are walking up ahead. And the reason is those other 2 are females, and he's a male. And it is very typical for males to be darker than females. There's a theory, just like the mane of a lion, the dark mane is impressive for the females. The exact same happens with the giraffe. And so these darker male giraffe would be more impressive to the females. And that process of changing color from that more tawnier color of coat that they have to this dark brown takes about a year or 2, which is a really quick process. Right, let's pan over to these rhino. Looks like they're slowly starting to walk this way. They are now grazing. They were walking quickly, but now they're walking and grazing. And just behind the rhino, you can see the horns of a wildebeest. There's some warthogs behind us as well. It's just amazing. That's what I love about these open areas here on Phinda Private Game Reserve, is that the abundance of wildlife, and you can see for so far. And you can often spot so many different species of animals by just sitting in one spot on the top of the crest. I can see another group of zebra to my right, maybe about 10 of them walking in this direction. It's almost like there's a meeting happening here. Reminds me of the Lion King. So have a look at the position of the ears of these rhinos. You'll notice that the ears are right on top of the head, and it is perfectly designed for the way that they're busy feeding at the moment. So the reason why her ears are far, far back on the head is that when she's down busy feeding, they're sticking high up above the grass. which is going to give that rhino the best opportunity to be able to hear anything that is around it. Now, either these rhinos are completely relaxed with us, or they haven't heard us yet. They won't smell us, we're downwind from them, and because their heads are down eating and their poor eyesight, they're probably not going to see us as well, but that's perfect. If she keeps walking in that direction, I think we're going to have these rhinos walk right past us, which is going to be spectacular. Something that rhinos don't typically do. I'm sure you've all seen over the last while from watching these live safaris that lions and leopards will often walk right past a vehicle when the rangers are busy watching them, or the guards are busy watching them. But with rhinos, they will often do a bit of a wide berth. But if you can surprise them by keeping quiet and you're kind of in their path, I have had it before when they've walked maybe 2 or 3 meters past me, which is quite an incredible experience. So I'm just looking at those 2 calves at the moment, and I said to you that I was pondering upon what the situation is here, and I can definitely confirm it is a female on the right with 2 calves, the small one being hers and the older one being a satellite calf. Now she would want to avoid that male that was following that other female unless she was in estrus, because he's then just going to turn his attention onto her and harass her. Looking at the age of her calf, that calf's probably around a year old, so I doubt that she's in estrus yet, and so she's probably got another year or so till she will look to mate with a male. So Ninamu, there's quite a few ways they'll help with the ecosystem. With them being grazers, they will often graze an area, and by eating grass in an area, and they actually do something that we call a rhino lawn. If there's an area that's got lots of grass, they'll eat and make the grass very, very short there. And because that grass is being disturbed, is what we call it, then it will promote the growth of other grasses to come through. And most of those grasses are generally pioneer grasses, and those are very rich in nutrients. Then by defecating or dropping their dung in the ground, they will also attract insects towards that dung pile, which will then allow birds to come and feed off those insects. While they're busy feeding like this, they're going to eat grass, and when they do defecate, they're going to have seeds in their grass, which would attract birds too as well, and then potentially even move some of the grass seeds from one area to another. And if they're eating those grasses, that's generally a very rich grass. When I say rich, high in nutrients, and so it would be ideal to move that grass from one area to another. They also do themselves provide food for birds, the red-billed oxpecker, which is a bird that loves to feed off of the ticks of rhinos. I haven't seen any red-billed oxpeckers on these 3 rhinos, but the other 5 that we saw earlier, I did see 2 red-billed oxpeckers on the male. It was busy harassing the female. Alright, so I'm going to sit here. I think patience is going to pay off. We're going to have this rhino coming past us.
We've changed our position a little bit, and so we came more to the eastern side, so we can actually see the sun hit the eyes of the young white lion. And as you can see, it's spectacular. I mean, those blue eyes just light up so nicely. So he's awake. Behind him, one of the lionesses are awake, and then behind them, the cubs are suckling. So those 2 are still awake. Mom's sleeping. The little white lioness has walked to this side. I think she walked past the cubs. She might have been growled at by the mother, so she's sleeping a little bit to the side. One of the Ross males is waking up. He's grooming himself, and then behind him there's another lioness or youngster that's also grooming herself. So I think slowly but surely, one of the babies are up. Looks like the little female, and just tell by the color. And then of course the little male is raising his tail. and it's hard to mistake that tail. You can see a bit of hair slowly but surely coming on there. Here's the pointy part is now fully grown with hair. See the black tip of it? It's quite cute how he was curling it right in front of the little female's face. Okay, now what are you going to do? Play with mom? Or see how both of them are curious about us now? That's the cutest little face. They're now watching their dad, one of the Rossmels. I think what an adventure it must be for them. Every single day it's a new area, new smells and everything. Just keep up with the rest of the line. But I do think they walk an incredible amount. They must be so tired. Let's see. Maybe time to play with some of the other youngsters. Well, funny enough, that one is going towards the Rossmel to go. Anushka is asking, will this pride get any bigger? Anushka, quite likely. Not now. So all of these females have given birth. So probably another year or so before they give birth again. So we're not too sure whether the Rossmels would hold on to this territory for that long. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, all the females are going to stay with the pride, stick within the pride. And then the Ross males might be ousted. The young males, like this white lion now turning over, he might be ousted, or he will be ousted if there are new males coming in. But like, yes, if they give birth, the pride's going to get bigger. You can see these, the youngsters are actually getting, they don't know who to go to now. Do they go to the dad? Do they go to the other line? Nurses. So we're going to watch this cuteness, these babies, but for now I'll send you back over to Lauren, who's got, well, also a baby animal.
We do have cuteness in the form of a baby hippo. Now, this mama actually chased Fika, the hyena, who we were trying to show you, but I don't think we had any comms. So this mama's very, very protective of her little ones, chased the hyena, and you can see she's, I'm not sure what she's doing. It doesn't look comfortable. Are we sleeping standing up, mama? Oh, I think we might be. I find it bizarre to see hippos out of water. Now, they're said to be truly amphibious ungulates, and that means that they rely on the water. So the word amphibious means sort of two-phase life, water and land, and it's unusual for ungulates. Oh. To be amphibious. It's only really the hippo. And because they only come out the water at night time, around sunset time, I find it really bizarre when they come out of water. I don't think they're so elegant on land, should we say. They're bulky, they're heavy, and yes, I'm going to stick with my words, not elegant. Come on out the water, little one. I want to see how big you are. Now, female hippos, mothers, are very protective over their young. They normally only give birth to one at a time. And they will have what we call a baby moon. So they will remove themselves from the rest of the bloat or pod, whichever word you prefer to use, and just isolate themselves with the offspring that they give birth to. And normally this is around 2 weeks, just to ensure that the young is safe. The young gets a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger before being introduced to other hippos. And this is called a baby moon. Not a honeymoon, a baby moon. I don't want to get any closer with the vehicle, because when you get close, they'll just jump back into the water. Or maybe not jump, maybe belly flop. And many of you are saying this is so adorable. Oh, it is. There's quite a size difference if you think what this little hippo's going to grow to. Hippos are huge animals. Hippos are actually closely related to whales and porpoises, believe it or not. Very closely related. Oh, I think we're going back in for a sunset swim. Adina, hippos actually feed outside the water. There's nothing for them inside of the water. They're just resting. So I guess we could say primarily they're nocturnal because they feed at night time. They tend to all come out of the water once, round about sunset time, and they forage on vegetation around. I think we can go a little bit closer now, BK, that they've gone in the water. And they forage around the water bodies. You'll rarely see a hippo any more than 15 k's away from a water body. So they'll come out of the water and they'll forage on any delicious vegetation around. And during the day, they're just resting. They're completely resting in the water during the day, saving their energy, resting and digesting, shall we say? Okay, now that they are back in the water, we can come a little bit closer to the water's edge. It's probably warmer for them in the water on a cold winter's day than it is outside the water. Humans, however, we lose body heat rapidly when we're immersed in a water body, but of course it's different for hippos. They have a big fat layer of blubber that keeps them nice and warm. Okay, we're probably going to leave Chitwa now. I want to go back to the west and try and see if we can find a leopard for you all.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
I have got the most incredible, remarkable, amazing, whatever you want to call it, but for me this is off the charts. Okay, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've been at Tswalu for over 15 years now, and in that entire time I've seen a lot of porcupines. I've seen a lot of porcupine burrows. I've never in my life, anywhere that I've worked, seen something as remarkable as this with regards to porcupine burrows. This is going to blow your mind. I promise you. Watch this. Watch this. I was stunned. Even now, this is incredible. Look at this. This is the biggest, and when I say big in terms of porcupines, this is the biggest, massive porcupine burrow I've ever seen anywhere on any. It's porcupines. There's a lot of evidence here. So there's a lot of quills lying around, and not only quills, but there's bones lying here as well. Here's a set of hartebeest horns. So there's amazing stuff here, and but this is me going down there. It'll give you an idea of the scale. I'm blown away. Like, this path on the right would have been the original entrance. And there's an original burrow at the end, and now it's actually, they've made a dog's leg right at the bottom over here. But look at this. Oh, my word. It goes all the way around there. It's a big hole. And also, Look at the beater nests. These are anteating chats and also very likely swallowtail beaters. I am stunned by the size of this. This is incredible. It smells, it stinks of porcupine, like rat, rodent. This is incredible. Look at the claw marks all over the walls here. Look at this. Look how big those claw marks are. Hey? Yes, I hope this isn't like a bear living down here, not a porcupine. No, but this is porcupine. I'm stunned at the size of this. And it goes all the way down here. I hope it doesn't collapse. If it collapses, we're going to be roasted, eh? Oh my goodness. There's a big hole at the end. I can't even see. I need a torch. But the scale of this is on something I've never seen before. I've never seen this. The thing, looking at these tree roots. I'm sorry, I'm losing comms there, but I think we're in the nether regions of the world here. But I'm absolutely enchanted, enthralled, engrossed, everything that I can think of. And the other things I'm seeing here, we talk about termites. You know, these termite mounds that the Aardvark go for. Look at the termite nest that's actually come all this way down there. That's a good 2 meters below the soil surface, and it goes even further. That termite nest comes all the way down there. Look at this, all the way down there. Wowzers! This is. I'm in heaven. I'm in a sand pit, and I'm in heaven here. This is just incredible, man. GCM. And look at these tree roots. I mean, just shows, and all the way down here. All the way down, there's roots coming out of these walls here. There's birds nesting inside here. Wow, this is a porcupine house on a grand scale. And you must just think how many generations. This could quite conceivably be possibly hundreds of generations of porcupines that have been in and out of this and used the same burrow system that we're standing in now. I'm actually, believe it or not, speechless. I'm like, wow. What a privilege to be able to see these things. You almost don't even want to like touch it in case something goes wrong. Eh? Yeah, like collapsing on top of us is probably a starting point. But you know, you're dealing with a small rodent. Okay, they get 10, 15, sometimes a really big one, maybe. You know, some literature says 20 kilograms. I doubt whether anyone that I've seen has ever got anywhere close to that. But I mean, you must just think how long it'll take to excavate this. If you're a rodent, you've got these little claws. You dig, and the signs of their digging is all along these embankments. This is absolutely remarkable on so many different levels. Wow. Yeah, we're just going to move out, and then because they're going to actually probably start moving around in the next 2 hours or so. So we're actually going to move out of here. And this is like my find of the year, I reckon. Out of all my finds of the year, I'm just, wow. I'll actually, yeah. Anyway, we're going to move away so they can do their thing and wake up. And yeah, let's move away from this burrow now. I'm just, wow. This is incredible.
Dylan, I was terrified for a moment that you were going to get lost down that hole and we were going to have to come and rescue you, but luckily you managed to sort yourself out. We have managed to relocate on the breeding herd of elephants that we spent quite a bit of time with this morning. I have not seen Kumo the big bull, but instead we are surrounded. Chad, you know what I really want to do? Is I really want to turn around so that I can show everybody Susan. Shall we do that? I'm going to go forward because for those of you that may know, young elephant cows despise me. They really do not like me. And there's one particular female in this herd. Oh, why are you running? That has very narrow tusks up against her trunk. We've had many sightings with her. And I've now dubbed her Susan. Susan, for short. She's there. Look, now she's going to go and boss that cow with her calf. I don't know what's happening. We'll see them as they cross the road. So Susan is the one to the left. There she is. And it was quite funny because she came out. She was feeding, happy. She walked from a mile away, and then guess what she did? She obviously came right up to the vehicle and shook her head at me. And then she does this weird thing where she turns her back and she reverses her bottom straight towards the hood of the car. So I don't know what she wants to do, but anyways, I'll be waiting. But there's a little elephant with Susan. This is not the elephant's real name, but I'm going to start giving each member in this herd a name because I spend so much time with them. And she's being very, very nice to that little elephant. Maybe that's her mother. Look, here she comes again. Oh, goodness. What have I done to you to deserve this behavior? Look, you're teaching that little elephant bad manners now. Susie, who is also a wonderful viewer of Wild Earth, you said, this is you. Yes, we can call her Susie for short. But I was going with the Monsters vs. Aliens thing, which is an animated movie that was made a few years ago, where basically a woman becomes very enlarged and she becomes like a giant. And one alien says, "Look out, here comes Susan." But it's not really that scary, which is funny. Oh my goodness. There's all sorts of havoc going on here. But look at this precious little elephant who's learning from her auntie. Don't you pick up your auntie's bad behavior. You don't need to behave like that. Now the little one is going over to its little friend. Look. Oh, I'm stuck. I can't get to you. Oh, ever seen an elephant climb a tree while you're about to? How precious is that? Oh, that's so sweet. I don't even know what to say. It must feel so nice. Susan, we are not interested in you right now. We're looking at the little elephants. Look how she see this. She just does it to me the whole time. Every single time I see her, I'm going to do a compilation video of Susan the elephant and how she shakes her head at me. I don't know why she does it. I mean, are there any other guides that spend enough time with the same elephants that they've, have similar encounters? Are there? Is it just me? Surely not. But you can see how tight her tusks are against the truck. Rude. Go away. I don't want to talk to you when you have got that kind of attitude. It's fine. We'll just watch those little elephants rather. They're much more entertaining. Oh, now stuck underneath the tree. That wasn't a good idea. Put your... Look, its ears are stuck. Sorry. Yes, aunties can be the worst influence. Goodness, if my brother ever have any kids, it'll be a disaster. I'll definitely be an instigator. I'll be the fun aunt. Can you imagine? Sorry, Gat is now in a bit of a compromising position because the elephants are kind of going behind the vehicle, but I really want to watch these little ones. Are you still alright, Kat? Is it okay? Okay. I was going to try reposition, but you can see, look at now. Who are you? Don't. I've got all the young teenage elephants now causing trouble with me today. What is it with all of you? And then, of course, those little ones now jumping around. There's too much to see what's going on. Oh, hello. Look at those little feet. Did you see how smooth those feet are still? I suppose that's another way you can also age an elephant, because they don't have those crevices and the sort of hardened feet. I'm watching you. Don't touch a car. Sorry, I'm just finger snapping at the one elephant, reprimanding it. No. Unacceptable. Sorry, you can't see. I can't move the car either now. I'm so sorry you can't see what's going on behind the vehicle. But you can see why. They're so close. But anyway, there's Auntie Elephant giving some attention to one of the youngsters. So she might actually be the daughter of that other female that came on through. She seems to have a special connection with them. Do you want some camera time? You don't have to perform. You can just ask nicely. Now doing some displacement behavior right next to the car. I'm pretending to eat, but I'm not really eating anything. Oh, no, you are. Wow, you're really fooling me, elephant. I thought I knew animal behavior. No, now it's relaxed. Now it's so happy that I'm not even joking when I say that this elephant is eating about 1 meter away from the vehicle and has approached us. Are you happy? Space Cow, this isn't even Susan, and yes, Susan does need to mellow out. This is Susan 2.0. Suzette. This can be Suzette. How are we going to remember this one? The much shorter left tusk, longer right tusk, but also oozing from her temporal gland, so you can see there. So she could be slightly stressed for some bizarre reason. I don't know why. Maybe she's going to come into estrus for the first time. I don't know. She looks a little bit young. Okay, I'm going to reposition so that we can get a better view of those little elephants. How adorable. Or as all of you say, adorps. Amazing. Okay, right, we're going to head across towards these little elephants and hopefully get another nice view of them.
And these two have just gone absolutely mad, just playing with anything they can find. Especially the little lioness, the one walking around now. She's feisty. You know, she has no issue going to an older cub and starting to bite it. Now she might play with the tree a little bit. And the little male, he's got the the tail. Just had the tail of one of the older cubs there. You can see that's the cub with the bad eye. And the more we've been sitting here, the more, big ball of poo here for the little lioness. Just like taking ownership of it, trying to run away with it. Like any baby animal, literally anything excites them. And I think watching this, her being so excited with her piece of poo, it's exciting the little white lioness. Just see, she's quite intently watching them the whole time. But two very busy babies. Of course, they drank from their mom, and so now lots of energy. This is the lioness with the injured eye. And like I was saying, we've been looking at the eye, and it actually doesn't look good. Probably she lost the eye, and that can't be fixed. However, it's not slowing her down at all. She's keeping up with the pride, but she's been playing very, very gently with the youngsters. It's actually so nice to see. So, of course, that's the sister of the little white lioness. Okay, so we're just going to sit here and watch the cubbies play some more. Very active. But for now, I'll send you over to James just to show you the beautiful sunset.
Lauren, we're just waiting here as the sun goes down. Beautiful sunset through the trees there. We found Tundi's tracks coming into this block, heading towards the reserve east of us, which is Torchwood. We haven't found Tundi. We're rather hoping she'll emerge out of this block into our vision as we watch the sun go down. We had a hyena come through here, but other than that we've had not very much. Right, let us do the traditional sunset silence and listen to the evening chorus. Many of you appreciative of the setting sun. Very muted chorus, a woodpecker going. Not much else, really. A roller in the distance. Some rattling cisticolas. The whirring of wings. Samantha, no, it changes every day, just like it does everywhere else in the world. It's just that it changes less every day. So I think it's about 30 seconds, the difference. And it's slowly, as we've passed the 21st of June, it's slowly going to set later and start moving towards the south. About 30 seconds, I think, in this part of the world. And you'll notice that it stays lighter in the Kalahari for longer than it does here. That's not actually because it stays lighter in the Kalahari, it's the same latitude. It's just that they're in the same country, but actually, strictly speaking, are in another time zone. Yes, it does set very fast. It's always kind of surprising how fast it sets. About 2.5 minutes it takes over here, and it hits the horizon to where it is now. Alrighty.
So there's still a bit of playing going on. The little male is actually more interested in us than playing now. So he's just been watching us while trying to lick himself. Beautiful little face, isn't it? And the white lioness has now grabbed the ball of poo that the other little lioness is playing with. And I think she's actually just taken ownership of it, trying to make the one jealous. See, now she's grabbed a piece of the ball of poo and taking it back to her mom. She's trying to play with a stick with a ball of poo in her mouth and trying to bite both. It's not going very well, but very active. Ooh, they're gonna grow up to be so strong. The amount of times we've seen them just being swiped around by these two youngsters. But then the amount of times they just walk up to a youngster and slap it in the face also happens very often. So these are the 4 youngest cubs of the Birmingham Pride that is framed up right there. Now what's happening is a lioness just got up behind us, just stretching, and it caused another youngster to also wake up and stretch. So further in the distance, one of the lionesses actually moved off, and we don't know what they heard. Might have been a wildebeest, might have been an impala, but it's like some of them actually moved towards us to get into a more sheltered area. Sheltered, I mean, by camouflaged area, thicker vegetation. So as whatever they might want to hunt a little bit later on, could not see them yet. So you can see all those lions looking down the path, and then further down that path is a lioness lying down that blends in so well. Especially this time of the day, now that the sun's down, the camouflage is just brilliant. And right next to us, the cubs are not trying to blend in whatsoever, making a lot of noise, stepping on dried grass and twigs and every stick they can find, and harassing any youngster that would play with them. And Jenna is saying this is just too cute. Jenna, 100%, absolutely agree. I mean, like I said, you could watch this all day. These two cubs, just the way they, make anything a toy, they want to play with any. Here comes the white lioness again, wanting to play with them. I think out of all the youngsters, she probably plays with them the most. See that other little lioness squaring her up? That paw going for the face. I'll fight you. Not really too big though, so you must watch every single step because they'll trip over anything. Oh, she got a piece of grass stuck in her mouth. See how that's predatory instinct. When the white lioness started to run away, now she's bullying her sister. Take on someone your own size. But when the white lioness started to run away, it is instinctual for the cub to run after the lioness. That's why they say in the bush, never run away. Especially you can't outrun a lion. A futile attempt. I don't know if you can hear it, but in the back we've got jackals screaming. Maybe alarm calling at a leopard or a cheetah or something moving through the area. It's quite far from us, but a lot of these animals have picked up their heads. They're actually listening in that direction. Of course, it is very far off, so I'm not too sure if you can hear it. But I know exactly where that is. A big open clearing. About, I don't know, 900 meters to a kilometer just north of us. I know one lioness has now started moving in that direction. The rest are still lying down, still just waiting for the others to start moving.
Now, this morning we came across this particular position, and there was an owl sticking its head out of the African hawk eagle's nest, and here it is again, the Verrux's eagle owl. AKA the giant eagle owl. And I'm afraid this is the best view we're going to get because he's rather nicely silhouetted against the sky, but he has got a gorgeous kind of silhouette, doesn't he? You couldn't mistake that for anything other than an owl. Or as our great friend from the Masai Mara used to say, old David Gatambagitu used to say an ool. Now, I don't know if he has permanently sort of taken over that nest or if he's just squatting in it for a while, because the African hawk eagles are still around. I saw one yesterday. They seem to use this nest every year, and so I don't know if he's not going to get booted fairly soon. Let me just check quickly. It's quite interesting. Nests on large twig platform of other raptor species, or on sociable weaver, red-billed buffalo weaver, or hammerkop nests. So the fact that he's in there is not unusual. It's just that it's an active nest. Well, has been. I'm just going to quickly check when it is that the hawk eagles breed. No sign of chicks in the nest, everyone. I mean, if there were any, we wouldn't be able to see over the lip because it's quite deep. But there's also only one owl. And, yeah, I've come past here a few times and I don't think he's been there for very long. If you see what I'm saying there. I mean, just quickly check when the African hawk eagle breeds. Nest laying dates. The laying date's April to August, so it's quite possible that he will be evicted sometime, because now's the breeding time for the African hawk eagle, I mean. Let's check when the owl's breeding time is. He may just be visiting them there. Zenon, you have made a joke of the day. What a hoot, you say? Yes. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Very good. What a hoot. He doesn't actually make a hoot, by the way. He makes a sort of grunting sound. And also a scream, a screech, an oolish screech. So he would normally only, oh, that's interesting, not he, she, would normally lay September to October, or May to September. We are peak June to August in South Africa. So this is the laying time for the owls as well as the hawk eagles. So quite a few raptor species, or birds of prey, do the breeding thing in the winter. He is currently preparing himself to sing some sort of attractive aria that will bring a partner to join him in the recently stolen house in which he now squats. Oh, good. Lauren has managed to find the hyenas, and apparently they have a new home.
I'm not sure what James means by new home, but we're at the den. We're at den number 3. Remember, there's 3 in a row here. And we've been sitting here quite some time because this is not ribbon. It's not queen rib robs. I'm wondering if it's intima. But I really, really can't tell from this angle. I would hate to get it wrong. And I thought possibly, as long as there's an adult at the den, we can be here. And I'm not talking adult as in myself, but an adult hyena. It doesn't have to be ribbon. So we thought the cubs might come out, but this is the 3rd day in a row that I have came to this den and no one's been here. I am wondering if ribbon's taken them somewhere or they're using another den. It's very, very common for hyenas to change dens. This one's not ideal. I don't think it's as spacious for the growing cubs as the previous one. But the previous one is probably really, really smelly and overloaded with parasites. So with regards to the Juma clan, I'm really, really not sure what's going on. I think tomorrow I'm going to have to do a den check. Now, they've disappeared before and came back, so I'm wondering if Ribbon's taken them somewhere. I just don't know where. If our little Bo and Ty were in this den, they would be out now, because there's an adult here. They're at that age where they would be out and they would be playing and exploring. So the mystery continues. But I promise you, I have been here every single day, and there's just been absolutely no one here. So I think tomorrow is den check day. They have many dens in their network. Just like dwarf mongoose, actually. They're closest relatives. And they will use them repeatedly. So I think tomorrow that's what I need to focus on, is trying to relocate rib robs and cubs. But I feel like maybe this hyena's not Intima, because Intima would know where her mother was. Intima is Ribbon's eldest daughter. She was 3 in February. And I'm just not sure. Perfect ears. There's no notchies missing out the ears, but I feel if it was Intima, she would know exactly where Ribbon was. They're very, very close. And being the matriarch's daughter now, it puts Intima in a very good position. Intima's also now quite high ranking. Tim, you agree. You think that Intima has become the babysitter for the cubs. I also agree. And it's perfect. She's a big sister after all. And Intima wants to bond with the cubs. She wants to get to know them. It's important. It's her bloodline. She's related to them. Maybe not fully. We don't know who the fathers are. But she's related to them. So it's important for Intima to also spend time with the cubs. It's all about keeping your friends close and your enemies closer. So they're going to gather really tightly as high-ranking hyenas and, of course, be leaders of the clan. So I think I'll let the sleepy hyena be. I just have no idea where Ribbon is. But don't panic, everyone. She will be somewhere and the cubs will be with her. But I think it's safe to say the cubs are not in this den. They would be out by now. Okay, smelly hyena. We're starting to wake up now. Night is coming. So we're going to keep bumbling west and see what we can find.
So we are now watching one of the Rossmels. Earlier we said all the lions picked up their heads and they were looking in that direction. So some of the females have now actually started flanking further north of us. And then some are moving into the clearings, stalking something, hopefully. So we've just been sitting watching this. Well, both the youngsters are still playing. That's not stopped yet. But majority of the lions have actually, well, the adults have all left. So we've still got one Rossmel behind us. Otherwise, all lionesses are gone, and the one Rossmel has gone further away. Don't know what happened there, but he just face planted. Oh. That bit of a snarl. I know it seems that they are bullied, but in all honesty, it's so good for their development. And we were talking about it a little bit earlier, and we wonder, so this is a lioness playing with a cub, but she's playing very gently, so I wonder what this would do for her motherhood. It's probably a good thing to have younger cubs around, just to see how to react to them, how the other lionesses treat them, what to do with them. And of course, it's good for sometimes. In this case, for now, it's been good for the younger cubs to have older ones around to play with, because it makes them a lot stronger. Oh, big tackle there. It's like he just took sense of pride in there, standing over his sister, head on the head. Paw on the head. He's just pushing her down with one arm. Not really too much size difference between them yet. See, he's got a bit of a broader face, bit of a broader head. But out of the two, the female's definitely the feisty one. She's more adventurous. She comes close to the car. She goes to... that was a hard smackdown. She goes to more of the youngsters, the other youngsters, starts playing with them. And feisty, she'll go bite them. She just got knocked over and then started biting the other youngster's foot. Bit of moaning going on every now and then, but otherwise quite quiet. Giraffe girl, just enjoying the Rossmel's bad smile. A few missing teeth there. So what's happening there? Sorry, one of the lionesses urinated there. So now what he's doing is he's sniffing it. And also he licks it, and then he pushes that into, it's called an organ of Jacobson, and tries to make sense of it. So this tells him how far this female is from being in estrus, or whether she is in estrus. Also, it just makes sense of a smell. Giraffe girl, it's quite likely if all these lionesses grow up and become part of the pride that they might split up. I mean, if Birmingham Pride, this Pride, and the Breakaway Pride had to join up now, there would be 34 lions in total. And that's too big. I mean, the Lion Pride, even in this area, they'll need to kill 2 buffaloes at a time. One buffalo could not feed 34, and it would actually be dangerous for the youngsters and for the females to come feed on just one buffalo. So it's possible that if everyone here grows up, they might split into 2, although they might keep going for one more litter, and then after that, definitely split up. Otherwise, it becomes a super pride. It'd be quite nice to see 34 lions all together. Imagine that. Now, it looks like all the lionesses, I can only see one still lying down in the grass. She's not raced in any direction, but the rest have all disappeared. They might just be lying down in the grass as well, just watching whatever they were watching, whatever they feel like hunting, or whatever's in the area. And they'll wait for it to become darker, wait for the cover of darkness, and then pursue whatever they're interested in. Doesn't look like the youngsters are going to participate in this hunt just yet. So I think one might have been spotted. I'm hearing impalas alarm call. Yeah. Let's see now. All lions go. So often that's why lions flank their prey. So it could be that a lioness went around to the other side of the impala, made them alarm call, and the impala could actually run in this direction into the rest of the pride. Interesting. See some of them moving. So there were only 2 alarm calls. There's a third one. That's that sound you'll hear every now and then. I think they've been spotted. The question is, who's been spotted? Because I don't think they've spotted the entire pride. So it could still work out for them. The reason we're not moving is we don't want to give away the presence of this part of the pride. So we'll just sit here and see what happens. The thing is, if all of them get up and run in a direction, then we know for certain, okay, something's going down. Then we'll drive there. But for now, I don't want to start up the vehicle and make anything look in our direction and destroy their chance of hunting. Butterfly, saying these cats are starting to become more like her own pet cat. Butterfly, I most certainly hope not. Or maybe they go out, your pet cat goes out hunting birds, hopefully something smaller, and not go out to hunt something big. But yeah, of course, I mean, all of these are more nocturnal, so they'll become more active at night.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
Well, we left the hyena, who actually got up and left us, to be perfectly honest. And Michael Fleetwood, you said it was Saka. Wow, look at the skyline. Are we able to capture this from here, BK? My favourite time of night. I must be a really skinny Saka. I didn't notice a hip injury, I must say, but very skinny. So if Saka is sitting at a den and no one else is, what that means is he hasn't quite figured out where they've moved to. The cubs could still come out when Saka's there, but they will respond at that age more to females. So I think the cubs were definitely not there. And Saka looked a bit lost, and he also looked a little bit hungry. Stuck in bed, you're asking about hyenas whooping. BK's just giving you a gorgeous view of this waxing crescent, which is now at 21.2%. Yes, I love my moon nap. Hyenas do hoop during the day. I saw this more in the Masai Mara, and I think that's because it's very different dynamics up there. You may remember the North Clan. It's a much larger clan. It's a different terrain, different landscape, different sort of behaviours. They tend to hunt a lot more than they do here in sort of the Sabi Sands. So I did hear hyenas whooping during the day in the Masai Mara. But I have to say, here in Djuma Game Reserve, I don't hear them whooping during the day. It's normally at night time. Just like the lions, just like the leopards. Leopards start to saw once the sun is going down. Lions start to contact call. Hyenas start to whoop. They have 14 different vocalizations, but I have to say the whooping is just the best. I love that sound. It's very nasal. It's a very nasal sound. And it's to contact one another. That's how they communicate. One of the ways that they communicate. I'm here, guys. Where are you? Let's go to Wild Earth's kitchen and cause trouble. Why don't we steal the kettle? Or we could destroy Lauren's 6 pair of shoes. Yes, for those of you who don't know, I seem to have a mental block and still continue to leave my shoes outside at night time. And I have lost 6 pairs to the jaws of Swazi. It's highly entertaining, and many of you will be asking yourselves, why don't I learn? I do not know the answer. One of those pairs was actually Emma's, which I still feel terrible about. But yes, maybe my shoes are delicious. Maybe my feet are delicious. Anyway, I'm going to stop there and let you all admire the sky. Dove, you are correct. I revealed that to you when the camera was not on my face. You know me too well. Yes, I'm very ashamed. I spent 8 years in the Maldives, and it's an Islamic country, and when you're on a resort island, it's really, really important that you never enter any room with your shoes on. Any room whatsoever on the resort. And I just got into a habit of always leaving my shoes outside. So, Dove, that's my excuse. Whether you accept it or not, I don't know. But 8 years of leaving my shoes outside is ingrained into me. So I think I'm going to sit here and enjoy the skyline for just a few moments longer.
So we've caught up with both the Rossmans really. We come to the front now. All the lionesses are down. They have gone and laid down again. So no more hunting for the time being. Saying that, you can see one of the youngsters actually coming over the termite mound now. It's beautiful light. I mean, through the grass like that is really just stunning. It's basically watching the sunset. But yeah, no hunting for now. Though saying that tonight, I think it's going to be rather dark. A few clouds around, so a good opportunity for them to hunt. But there's no wind at all, which is quite nice. There's no breeze whatsoever. Which might make things a little bit harder for them. Because wind, what it does, it makes a lot of noise through the grass, through the trees, and it also masks their scent. So all of these ambush predators, lions, leopards, they will make use of the wind, use it in their advantage when they do hunt. They'll actually they'll hunt into the wind so their scent isn't blown into their prey. And we've seen it happen where impalas, wildebeest, all these prey species, they start alarm calling at only the scent of any of these ambush predators. Which means even though I can't see you, I know you are here, hoping that it spooks the predators. So that's the other Rossmel now, the paler maned one, the less dominant of the two brothers. We don't actually think these Rossmels like each other. I think the one bullies the other one. I don't think they're friends. Although they would fight together when other males come into this area. Because together they can maintain and hold a bigger territory. Other Rossmel. Like the adults are now starting to hear something a little bit further south. One lioness has her eyes on an impala again. But I don't think she'll try hunt just yet. Like you saw, I mean, this youngster coming over the termite mound like that. The grass is, I'm just trying to lean out of the camera. The grass is long enough for them to be able to stalk in. Of course, if they go into that leopard crawl, you probably won't even see them. What makes it quite scary. As you can see, the black tip of the tail, or sorry, the ears, sticks out quite nicely. Ellen has commented she wonders if lions make a pact, like brother lions make a pact to sustain the pride together. Ellen, I think, again, it's just instinctual. I think because they are kicked out together, they leave the pride together and they form a coalition together. So with them forming a coalition, you know, two is better than one. Two in a fight is going to win a fight against one. So I think they notice they'll be able to almost know this. And so, of course, having two or three in a coalition, their territory would be bigger. So, yeah, a pact might be formed. Although there has been cases of lions that are not related also joining up to form a coalition. Okay, so we're going to sit here for a while, see what happens. They wake up a little bit more, maybe the rest of the pride comes in. But for now, I'm going to send you to Lauren and her sassy elephant.
Hello. Just going to keep my voice down a little bit here because elephants don't have the best vision. Hello, guys. It's okay. They're coming very, very, very close to the car. I see you guys. It's okay. Uh-huh. Can you smell my snacks? Just going to keep talking so that my voice doesn't startle them. Just trying to keep my voice at the same sort of pace and tone. And they're youngsters. Oh, yes. Am I in your way? I'm terribly sorry. I just turned a corner and here's a herd of elephants. And interestingly enough, we were just talking about the dynamics in lion coalitions and bonds. In bonds between individuals of the same species. Fascinates me. When it comes to elephants... Oh, hello. It's okay. When it comes to the bonds between females in an elephant herd, they are incredible. It's a little bit different for the males because they get ousted and they do go a little bit crazy and boisterous. But for females, it's a very, very tight bond. Really, really long girl. We've got a little one coming. Look. You see that? Now we don't have any artificial light. Hello. Oh. Oh, it's okay. It's just a car. That was so cute. I think we were brave and now we've got scared and we're running away. We're not brave anymore. Mama's right there. Can you hear her? Hello, Mama. Mina Moo, fantastic question and good to hear from you. I actually haven't spent enough time with elephants since coming back. I've only been back a few days now and my elephant encounters have been few and far between. But you're right, winter brings about challenges for elephants. They have to complete... Oh, there's two. And there you do. Winter brings about changes in their diet. Water is normally quite scarce, but I have to say this year, due to the dams being so full, that might not be the case. But generally, peaks. I'm going to move my head out the way. Sniff in the car. I wonder what's on the car. The car must smell very yummy. Such sensitive noses. It's not really a nose. It's two olfactory turbinals, aka nostrils. This is very, very special, this moment, everyone. But yes, Mina Moo, you're right. So the diet does change. And they go from a summer diet, which is about 80% grass, if not a little bit more, and only 20%, if not less, trees and shrubs. Whereas in winter, it's the complete opposite. It's about 80% trees and shrubs and 20% grasses. So they're not getting as much nutrition. They've got to search harder for their food. They've got to crunch it, which wears down their teeth. It's more challenging. They've got to walk further to find delicious food. So you're right, Minamu. We could start to see a change in their behaviour. They might just become a little bit more sensitive and a little bit more agitated. But I personally haven't noticed that just yet. Excuse our antenna. PK, we've got something really interesting going on the other side. If you want to do a 180. This is so magical. Excuse the antenna again. The elephants are going behind the car, which means you may see our antennas. They're all behind the car. Oh, Beard, good to hear from you. It's been a while. I don't think they're triplets. No, I haven't heard of elephants ever having triplets. Of course, they normally just give birth to one calf at a time due to the long gestation period and the sort of high level of investment of a mother elephant. But twins have been recorded. And in most mammalian species, twins can be recorded. But I've actually never heard of triplets. Don't think they'll be triplets. I think they'll be the offspring of different mothers that are just growing up together, roughly the same age in the herd. But if any of you ever have heard of elephant triplets, let me know. I think an elephant, a female, a cow, carrying 3 calves would be quite dangerous for her. It's a big investment for a female elephant. From a very young age, the matriarch and all the other older females teach the young females how to be a mother. It's a process. It's all about learning. Okay, well, I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck in the middle of an elephant herd, so we're just going to sit tight for now.
So now, all of these lions, they moved, they stalked for a little while, and basically all of them have fallen asleep again. Every now and then we can hear a bit of moaning, so I think about 40 or so meters behind this lion that we got focused, someone's being groomed. One of the other lions being groomed, and you can hear it actually moaning, but so far, other than that, not too much movement anymore. And this is often the case, that lions start stalking and there's a bit of activity and everyone gets psyched up and amped for it. And then something spots them, it starts alarm calling and the lions fall back asleep. I mean, they have literally been here the entire day from 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning until now. and they are going back to sleep again. So here you can actually see they spend about 18 to 20 hours a day just being lethargic, sleepy, and, well, lazy. What a life, right? I can hear a bit of licking. I think if Odie swings to that side, I think a bit more left. Oh no, there we go. Yeah, no, you're on her. So she's grooming herself. So there's a little bit of that going on, but otherwise, both the rice mouths walked in this direction and then just plunked their heads down again. Oh, those eyes are so cool. Wild K saying these lions are having a lazy day of snoozing. Wild K, we all need those every now and then, without a doubt. But I can promise you now, there's going to be a lot of activity tonight. Burn all their calories in 4 hours if they need to. Those eyes, those glowing eyes look so cool in the infrared, right? When it looked at us. Dylan is asking how long do these lions normally sleep for. Dylan, like I said, you know, sleeping or being lazy or lethargic for about 18 to 20 hours a day. Could be. Depends. Also, you know, when's the last time they ate? What do they need to do? Do they need to go to a watering hole? Are they being chased by elephants? So all dependent on a lot of circumstances. But usually could be 18 to 20 hours. So we can hear some crunching in the bushes behind them. Could be one of the youngsters with a stick again. We can't see anything. Of course, we're not shining a spotlight around at all because of the newest babies, or the newest additions. Yeah, you can see the movement there. One coming this way. Just saw the eye glow. That's so cool, eh? There we go. So, that's the one with the injured eye. Is it? No, it's not. It's just the one eye is glowing. That's weird. Hard to tell with the infrared light. But I think I'll let them be, you know. Sean's up tomorrow. Probably come back into this area, see if we can find them again. But for now, I'll let them be, see if they hunt anything, see if they're successful. But very nice day with the Birmingham Pride.
In front of me, and two of the calves are attempting to suckle. Or I think one was suckling. So magical. They suckle with their mouth. And they can actually remain in milk for up to about 4 years. But they will go on to solid food at around 6 months vegetation. And of course the young have milk tusks, which they will lose, and then they will develop their adult tusks. Not too unlike humans with our baby teeth that fall out and then we get our adult teeth. Don't think we're going to make it home for dinner anytime soon. And I am more than happy with that. I get to share this with you all. BK, can we just take a look at this adult quickly? There's something strange about his tusks. This one here. One is pointing the wrong way. Do you see that? It's completely twisted. Sucking his trunk. I'm sure we have seen this one before. The herds do use very, very predictable routes. What a fantastic drive this has been, everyone. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. And thank you all for jumping on board, your comments and questions. Please do join us tomorrow morning for the Sunrise Safari. Goodbye for now.